it gives me great joy to introduce to some, present to others, our 2016 Black History Achievement Award recipient, none other than Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. Can you welcome her as she comes at this time? Brethren, I'm going to ask if you would bring the gifts that we have for her today. First, let's do this one first. All right. 2016 Black History Achievement Award presented to Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee for your untiring and devoted service to humanity, February the 13th, 2016, Oakwood University Church, Huntsville, Alabama. Dr. Carlton B. Byrd, Senior Pastor. And then, Elder Pollard and I say you have to have some Oakwood in you. So, he and I were talking about having some Oakwood in you. And so some Oakwood in you, when you go to Capitol Hill.
Oh, it will be, wow. Be worn with pride.
You've got to wear the Oakwood University gear and armor. And so we're going to put this back in, we could have thought about flowers and all, but you're on your plane, you can, so we want you to wear us proud. Is that all right? Can we give her another big round of applause, everybody?
Thank you very much. Congresswoman Lee, we are so honored to have you on the Oakwood University campus today. I spent 14 years working with your cousin, Dr. Craig Jackson, who is the Dean of the School of Allied Health at Loma Linda University. Dr. Lee, I think sometimes, and I look at all these wonderful young people who are the future of our country, I look at them and I say, I want for them the life that was purchased for me, those opportunities. And you are devoted to making sure that those opportunities are distributed to all people every single day. I had heard about you through Craig Jackson. I had heard about you, but when I took over this role and I joined that circle of UNCF presidents, it was only then that I realized how fierce a fighter you are for HBCUs. It was only then. It was going to Congress and listening and watching. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking fierce. I'm talking fierce. I'm talking beyond Beyonce fierce. I'm saying fierce to make sure that these institutions have the funding that's needed for them to continue their over-the-top missions, because they are over the top. Though just 3% of all institutions of higher education, 21% of all African Americans who receive bachelor's degrees graduate from these institutions. And I have watched you, I have listened to you, I have heard you argue and go upstream. So first thing I want to do today is thank you. I want to thank you. And I think our university family wants to thank you. Now here's the second thing I want to do in this moment. And I thank our large-hearted pastor for this moment. So thank you. What I'd like to do is I'd like to invite you back to campus. And I'd like to have you talk to young people about how to build a career in public service. Would you be willing to do that? Would you be willing to do that? Here is why that's important. Because young people see you where you are now. They don't see all the fighting in the local district and the elections that may have been lost and the political enemies who tried to knock you off. They don't see any of that. All they see is Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee on C-SPAN or CNN. That's what they see. But I'd like you to have a conversation with young people who want to build a career, who want to make more than $1, they want to make a difference. I want you to talk to them about how Congress really works and what it takes to build a career in public service, which is a noble calling, a noble calling. Would you do that for us? Amen. Well, God bless you, and thank you on behalf of Oakwood University, its administration, its faculty, its staff, and all of its students. Let's put our hands together, everyone.
Congresswoman Jackson Lee is going to give a brief response, but immediately following the divine worship experience, students She is willing, as time permits, we're on a schedule, to shake your hand, take pictures with you. She's going to give a few brief words to our special guests who are here. And we want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule right about now to come and join us at Oakwood today. Can you please give us a few words at this time?
Thank you so very much. Let me thank the array of distinguished citizens. To President, thank you for your vision and your glorious words and your tutoring of young people, which is a tradition of our people. To the President of the Council, to my good friend, as he has evidenced, Dr. Showers, let me give all of you a vote and seek that you be reelected. Might I turn and maybe this time we will have Dr. Byrd as my Speaker of the House. Gentlelady's time is up, but I'm going to take a moment as expeditiously as I can. As I look out into this audience, I see an array of diversity. And so I hope those who don't look like me, whose traditions of ethnicity come elsewhere. One of the great things about America is to be able to sit in someone else's place and respect and honor their difference. Dr. Byrd, let me thank you because you have been tutored to do that. And he is a modest person. My daughter at the time was a little bit younger, and she used to rush to Wednesday or Tuesday night Bible service because of this great teacher, Carlton, who was a much younger man, who taught the word to young people. And those of you who are here, by the way, don't cast me older than 21. I don't take this Bernie Sanders stuff because I got the stuff to talk to all of you. I don't take it, and I don't divide generationally. If you're doing right, that's what we need to be about. So allow me to just give you a word as I greet Dr. Byrd for his leadership and president of Oakwood College. Let me acknowledge, I don't know if my relatives are here, Jackie Thomas, Mrs. Thomas, who are the relatives, extended family, Sarah and Charles Jackson, who taught here, who were missionaries in the church, Darlene Simmons, my friends from New Haven, Connecticut. I have a lot of connection to Oakwood, and Mr. President, I served on the board. You might try that again, because there's a lot that I have to offer. Now, let me do this, because when you get into educating people, it looks like you're saying I. I don't want to use the term I, but let me try to educate young people, and I'm watching the time. First of all, I am a product of Bethel Seventh-day Adventist Church, Tabernacle Seventh-day Adventist Church, Ephesus Seventh-day Adventist Church, and my beloved Linden Boulevard Seventh-day Adventist Church. Born and raised. Grandparents first accepted the word and taught their children. And I truly believe as an Adventist, I am a progressive. And the reason why I'm a progressive, because if the one thing through the struggles of raising children at a time when the economy of that era, when you didn't know you weren't wealthy, but you have now the memory of your family making it. I relied on my mother, Ivalita, my Aunt Val, to make it like I was important. But what they did was get me to a Sabbath school to listen to mission stories that made Sheila Jackson Lee. I was going to be nothing but someone who was going to find a way to give. Adventists, you don't accept who you are. You are a powerful force, and your work is not in this building, it is outside. Today as we speak, the Pope is in Mexico speaking of violence, anti-violence, poverty, and the needs of poor. As I was raised up, I didn't know anything more from the Adventist church but lifting down to pick those up who could not help themselves. I idolized the mission stories and missionaries. I thought Aunt Sarah and Uncle Charles were the greatest things that I had ever met because they left this place to go to Haiti and Kenya. But we have gotten so confined that you don't even understand or value who I am and what I am. Again, what I said, I apologize for eyes. I am the longest and first, the longest serving Adventist in the United States Congress ever in the history of the United States. Ever in the history. I am the only African American ever. I am the only woman ever. I give credit to Dr. Bartlett from Maryland, no longer in Congress, and my new friend, Dr. Ruiz from California. You don't even know that. And what I've taken to the Congress with all of the warts of public service is the idea of the third angel's message. Now, my brothers and sisters, my attire may not always connote, but if you don't read and don't know, you just see something. I may not always be able to be sitting. I may be dealing with Hurricane Katrina or somebody's house that burned down on Sabbath. So let me just say this very quickly. Remember what I said, I apologize for eyes, but I'm speaking to the young people. Live your life in the faith. Take the career that you want. I will promise you, if you're trained up in this faith, you will make a difference, because it will be embedded in your DNA. So I want to say these. Only be careful and watch yourselves closely so that you do not forget the things your eyes have seen, or let them fade from your heart as long as you live. Teach them to your children and to their children after them. And I've already said what this church has meant to me and the mission that you've had. Biblically based education for service, God and humanity. We need a little bit, President Poland, of Oakwood across America. And what I see as I serve in the United States Congress, I always come back to that faith. We may be in session on the weekend, which includes Sabbath. But I think it's important to understand people's work tied into our faith. It was interesting, the week that my good friend has gone through, Carlton is, if I may call him that. He has matured to such royalty and hierarchy from the time that we were together. And we must have ESPD, because I started thinking about, before I left the hotel room, train up a child, because I was trying to say that I will never leave this church. And then he started talking about trust, and my favorite psalm or verse is Psalm 91, and then in particular, Verse 2, I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in him will I trust. You don't know what it means to be a member of the United States Congress. Again, what I said, this is not out of arrogance. This is to say that we are the first to hear that we were about to have a financial collapse in 2007. The first to see the pending tragedy of mortgage collapse. To feel your stomach being troubled if there was not a trust in God. The first to see this young president come and be confronted with a complete capitalistic collapse, to have to put in place almost $800 billion in stimulus, now being criticized, of course, by one presidential candidate. But if we had not had that, we'd be out more in the streets. And so I ask you, as you have honored me, to take an honor from me. And that is, again, to honor these young people's vision for what they want to be. Make them feel comfortable if they want to play professional basketball, if they are doctors or missionaries or lawyers or teachers or business persons, that their faith is not extinguished. And then let them see what you do. These council members have already said it. Dr. King said it on August 6, 1965. The vote, President Johnson, is the most powerful instrument ever devised by man for breaking down injustice and destroying the terrible walls which imprison men because they are different from other men. Today in 2016, we have not yet overcome. So I'm asking you, as you honor African American History Month, take these words to heart. One, that of the Good Samaritan. He had a plan. He came upon someone that was troubled. He formulated the plan, dusted the man off, took care of his bruises, put him in an inn, paid his money. When you think of voting, look for those who have a plan, not those who want to say political revolution. And then let me pay tribute to Black Lives Matter. We've been afraid to even say their names. There may be some young folk here that have part of that movement. And the reason is because each young movement pushes us. John Lewis, who you honored, Dr. King, some of the icons here. Terry Sewell, my good friend, has created an opportunity to be able to honor them, Congresswoman Sewell. And by the way, President Pollard, I was in a meeting. I'm a member of the HBCU caucus, and I mentioned Oakwood in front of Dr. John King, the Secretary of Education, yesterday. And we're going to put a plan together for those students that lost out on the cost plus. They're going to put a plan together to send out to the parents my idea of children who had to drop out, to let them know there's a new opportunity, get those children back in. We did that yesterday. We did that yesterday. We did that yesterday. They're going to get letters in the mail.
That's good.
God bless. You're going to get a way to fix it. I know what makes things work. By the way, I'm just going to say her name once. Hillary Rodham Clinton has free tuition plan with a plan for all HBCU students. Let me just make sure that doesn't ever come out clear. That doesn't ever come out. So let me finish. I am finishing. What else happened to me this year, Dr. Byrd? I told you I apologize already for eyes, but if we don't educate, the first woman to head the Criminal Justice Committee since 1789 of the House Judiciary Committee. The first woman. And I said I was going to breathe life into the message of Black Lives Matter. So quickly, here's what we've done. We have passed an elimination of mandatory minimums and a process to get people out that are languishing in jail for drug crimes to be able to have them have another opportunity of life. Just on Thursday, we have passed prison reform. And I just want to cite what Jackson Lee, y'all gonna smile when you hear about this. This is what I forced them to put in the bill. Republicans and Democrats working together, parental training and protected child visits for incarcerated persons, training for officers and guards how to deal with assessing so that there's not violence in the prison. Community college, a must, vocational training, academic classes, written by Jackson Lee. Arts, the building requires the prison bureau to put arts inside the prison. Anti-bullying and rejection, so that when you come out and you go to a 7-Eleven and somebody acts untoward, you don't get into a fight with the cashier and be arrested again. A release coordination, if you can't find housing or you need counseling, we got a release coordination so you can get yourself together before you get out of the jail. All of this can be done by 501c3 nonprofits going into the federal prisons and developing these programs. The superintendent or the trustee, schools can get involved so that when our young men and women come out, they have a new attitude. Ladies and gentlemen, don't say that I leave my faith because you see me somewhere. Understand what it means to be an Adventist. We never give up and never give in and never give out. Our message is that of the third angel. And so I close by emphasizing our next step is juvenile justice. Children in the federal prison and state prisons. This age group languishing, treated brutally. And just yesterday I sat with Republican leadership saying yes to me to pass legislation that will eliminate solitary confinement for our children so that they don't languish and commit suicide. And as well, to eliminate the idea on a college application, Mr. President, that they have to write down that they've been arrested, ban the box so they have a second chance. And then to give them an opportunity to be in some alternative place. See, I don't want people sitting here saying, oh God, they're gonna let the criminals out to get in my neighborhood. No, we're gonna have something that is an umbrella that embraces them. This has been my heart. Nobody's ever passed juvenile justice reform. I don't know why God placed me there after being in this place for 2 decades. God has really blessed me. I've lasted that long to get to this seniority, to take this leadership role, to meet with the president and say, Sheila, we want to sign these bills before I go. My God, a dynamic president who has seen this economy go, who's kept us in peace. This is a man that we can be proud of. My friend. I did not offer any political agenda, but I will say that the lady that's running helped me put the first African-American woman in the United States Congress, Sojourner Truth. It was legislation by myself and Hillary. 2,000 people showed up to see Sojourner Truth be placed in the United States Capitol. So I close with this. In the course of my work, I do a lot of things. I've written legislation to name September Gospel Music Heritage Month, and so it found me a couple of years at the funeral of Whitney Houston. Powerfully emotional funeral. It's the kind of thing that you say they went too young. Drugs and other issues, even though she was a beautiful person and was moving in the right direction. But when we ended the service, Pastor Byrd and President Pollard, they asked Marvin Winans to take to the rostrum and to the podium. And he lifted his voice and began to sing, God has spoken. Let the church say amen. God has spoken. Let the church say amen. In the course of my work, I don't know where God will take me. But I do believe that I have been blessed by being born and raised a Seventh-day Adventist. A black Seventh-day Adventist. A progressive Seventh-day Adventist. A civil rights sponsoring, injustice busting Seventh-day Adventist. And over this church and over these young people, I'm going to adhere to that song. God has spoken. Let the church say amen. And all of the progress you made and all of that which the young people may do, let us have the kind of spirit to say to them, God has spoken. Let the church say amen. God has spoken. Let the church say amen. God bless all the soldiers in this place. God bless this great church and university. God bless the university, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you all so very much.
Let the church say amen.